Welcome back to the NutriSafe podcast. Long time no see. We are back. Our family has grown by two. We are excited to announce we've brought on two new people. And with that, that's going to allow us to all specialize in certain sports that we're all very knowledgeable in, but we all still have a great understanding of the wide world of sports. So moving on, I will be primarily the one covering the hockey areas, so NHL, NCAA, kind of whatever goes on there, as well as golf. Joey will be covering the NFL as well as college football. One of our newer guys, Dylan Chambers, he will be covering the NBA as well as college basketball. And then Grayson Williamson, he was brought on to help cover the MLB as well as college baseball. And with that, he's going to get busy here in a couple days as the MLB starts tomorrow. I guess it's today by the time you're seeing this. But yeah, we're really excited to have them on. It's kind of cool seeing that a year ago we started and now we've doubled. So yeah, we're excited to see where this goes. I will say, cool moment from the past week. We got Auburn football to comment on a little TikTok that we made. So
Or Eagle, baby.
I think that's been the highlight of the past year. I would say.
Either that or South Carolina fan pages stealing our content.
Hey, I mean, good, more views the better,
Two
I
separate ones
guess.
in less than 6 months.
Hey, what can you say? We make good content. So kind of excited to see where all this goes. I don't think we really imagined it getting this far when we started a year ago, given there's been dead times. But now with that, and there being more of us, it gives all of us, it's easier for our schedules to line up to at least get one episode out per week. Given there may be weeks where we get 2-3 episodes out. So a lot more for you guys to watch, a lot more that's going to be coming out, a lot more content coming to social media. So strap in, we are going for a ride. I think that's where I'm going to end that part off. With the NHL season drawing to a close, I would say a lot of teams have 10, 12 games left, somewhere in between there. The playoffs are really starting to heat up. You're starting to see teams kind of meaningful games come to a close. We saw Chicago and San Jose get eliminated. We'll kind of talk about where they go from here on further down the line. But kind of looking back at the trade deadline, since we didn't really cover that, we got some winners and losers, more losers than winners, in my opinion. And first, I want to start with the Florida Panthers. I think they did great at the deadline. Major moves included adding Seth Jones and Nico Sturm. Those are the ones who played so far. Another one was Brad Marchand, who I didn't see him getting moved at all. I think that was one of those things that surprised a lot of the hockey world, just because there was no talk or chatter about it coming in into the deadline. I didn't see anything on any sort of forums until right before it happened. It was like, boom, Marchand's getting moved. Down he goes to Florida. So Marchand, he's been out with an injury, and it looks like he'll come back for the playoffs. I don't know if they're doing that as like a salary cap. Hey, we're trying to keep it under this amount, and then he comes back, and then bang, a little bit of Vegas Golden Knights action. But what are your thoughts on what Florida was able to do at the deadline?
Florida's a winner. I mean, you look at Seth Jones. A lot of people hated on it. It's gonna kill their cap. Like Seth Jones is gonna kill their cap. But I think Seth Jones has improved since he's been on Chicago and Columbus. So I think Seth Jones has been a little bit of improvement. Nico Sturm, guy doesn't score a lot of points. I mean, he was on the Sharks, so not a lot to go with there. But he's a good depth piece, which is always helps in the playoffs. So Nico Sturm was a great pickup, and Marchand. I mean, you had the three rattiest players in like the NHL, so that line combination is going to get interesting. And Marchand performs really well in the playoffs, so be interested to see where that goes for Florida. I think Florida can repeat, but there's some high tier talent in the East. So
And so now my biggest question is, how do you think Florida is going to stack up against some of the other, um, I guess, players in the East? I think Washington right now is the big name, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Washington fan. I have more than enjoyed this season, but Washington got the series sweep on Florida, and I believe both games were pretty high scoring. And Washington won both games pretty handedly. So is that telling you more or less that Washington has Florida's number? Given I think it was Vanacek in goal for the second one, so it wasn't Bob. We'll have to see how playoff Bob comes into the picture because we both know that's a completely different animal.
so playoffs are different. Playoff atmosphere is different. For some reason, the state of Florida just completely rocks the roof off when it comes playoff time. Washington doesn't have. I don't think that Washington has a lot of playoff experience on that roster anymore. From the 2018 team, they got a couple of core pieces, but I don't think they have a lot of playoff experience on that team. So it'll. I think out worse that game goes to or that series goes to six. So I could see it going either way. It a lot of times it depends on the goaltending. Can your depth scoring get hot in the playoffs? Are you staying healthy enough, or guys fighting through injuries well enough for you to maintain physicality and all these things? And Florida's the way Florida plays with that physical forecheck, it stacks up really well in the playoffs. That's why they've been the Cup final back to back years, I believe. So Florida's got the advantage in experience, and playoff hockey is a different animal. You and I both know that. So right now, I think Washington has a heads up, like the advantage from what we've seen, but anything can happen. We know you know that as well as anyone. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. So my next question is: we've seen Washington play a very physical role this year, and I think the addition of Brandon Duhaime to the lineup was a good one, especially when you're trying to look at getting with Wilson being a 30 plus goal scorer this season. I think he's I don't want to say he's moved away from the physicality aspect, but he's taken a kind of step back, and Duhaime's kind of filled in where Wilson did step back. And so I think with them playing as physical as they have this year, I think one, that series would be great. Two, for the players that have played a role in Washington's season and including the depth guys, they've been fairly healthy all year. Um, as a Caps fan and just hearing some of the kind of news surrounding the organization, I would not expect TJ Oshie to play, let alone I don't think he's going to play another game in the NHL or in a Caps uniform. I think Nicholas Backstrom's career has come to an end, and they're just keeping him on long term IR for now. Um, both of those guys, I think, are done. Sonny Milano, I believe, is going to be out for the season now. He had some it was upper body injury. I think it involved his shoulder, and then they just came out the other day, sometimes in the past week, saying, "Hey, he had a fairly decent setback that he was hoping to be able to come back for the playoffs, but I don't think he is." And while they the Backstrom and Oshie haven't really played a part in the season at all. I mean, they've kind of been locker room guys, just kind of being around the organization, kind of lending experience in a hand to some of the newer guys with how young this roster has gotten compared to what it had been in the past years where it was one of the oldest. So that I think they're kind of helping with the transition. Um, but then you look at like Milano, who he was there for like the first couple months, but as a Caps fan, I'm expecting Ryan Leonard to come in and join the team for the playoffs. Um, it'll be interesting to see how he makes his transition from Boston College to the NHL coming out of the Frozen Four and how that's going to translate and how his nerves are going to handle. We talked about playoff hockey being a different animal and how much of a step up the NHL is from college hockey. So we'll have to see how he handles that and whether or not he actually plays a factor in Washington's offense as they try and make a postseason run. Uh, but a Washington and Florida Eastern Conference final, I think would be insane to watch. Um, as much as Toronto, um, I, people talk about them being a Cup favorite, and just to talk about numbers, I have Money Puck pulled up for. I know we like to talk about odds, but Washington um, currently third favorite to win at 10.8. Winnipeg at 11 point. Oh, hold on, I read that wrong. They have Carolina at 13.4% chance to win the cup, followed by Dallas at 11.4, Winnipeg at 11.1, and Washington at 10.8. Everyone else is sub double digits.
Um, I mean, going to I think you said Ryan Leonard or Robert Leonard, whatever his name is.
Ryan Leonard.
If he plays half as good as Kel McCarr did coming out of I think it was Denver University or it might have been Boston College, wherever Kel McCarr played in college, plays half as good as that. That's a success for Washington. Washington's
You,
injuries.
you,
What was that?
it was UMass Amherst was where Kale McCarr went.
I would have never known that. But if if Washington's depth scoring can get hot, especially from a lot of inexperienced guys, if Backstrom and Oshie can provide that locker room experience that the Caps need to, because I don't think Ovi's enough. Ovi's a tremendous player. He'll probably break the record in the playoffs this year as long as Washington makes it past the first round. If probably maybe even before then. But the depth for Washington worries me with some of those guys being out. Will their goaltending hold up? Because I don't think there's been a cup winner with the goalie less than a 92% save percentage in God knows how long. Or like at least less than 91. I think Bob's was like 92.4 last year, something like that. It might have been a little bit worse than that. I think Aiden Hills was almost 93. I think it was Kemper that won it with the Avs. His was like, I think his was close to 93 too, or like 92. So it's been a while. You need tremendous goaltending and you need timely saves. So
So, of the top goalies in the NHL, again, according to Money Puck, um, that has Connor Hellebuck at one, Logan Thompson at two, and Shesterkin at three.
is this regular
Hellebuck's
season this year?
yes,
Okay.
this is 2024-2025 regular season, and then covering all season.
Said Hellebuck at
Uh,
one, Shesterkin at three, and who's that two?
Logan Thompson, Washington
Washington, yeah.
Capitals goaltender. So of that,
Can he stay hot during the
um,
playoffs though?
Hellebuck's the only one with above a 92% save percentage. And then you have to go all the way down to 27 at Marcus Hoberg, who's an Islanders goalie. I believe he's the backup with a 93, and then Nico Dawes with a 96%.
Those I'm just telling you, like playoff goalies play different in the playoffs. Aiden Hill, like you look at him, he's been all right, especially since right before when he came back from injury. Like, but the playoff run with Vegas, that they won the cup, his save percentage was like 93%. It was like you can't your goaltending can't be anything less than exceptional in the playoffs for you to win the cup. I think that's a lot of the problems that Carolina's had and why they haven't made it to a cup. Their goaltending hasn't been there, and they've lacked depth scoring. They've lacked scoring in general, and especially in the conference finals. But it's very hard to win a Stanley Cup, and it's very hard to win a Stanley. It's even harder to win a Stanley Cup without exceptional goaltending.
I think when you look at Carolina's problem, I think what they have is they have two really good backups, but not a solid starter. I don't think Frederick Anderson's really a starting goalie in NHL anymore, and I just don't think Peter Kochetkov is necessarily at that level of being a consistent day in day out starter in the NHL. He can get there, but he's just not there right now for Carolina. And when you look at kind of what they probably should have done at the deadline, given they kind of got, and we'll talk to them or we'll talk about them here in a second with losers of the trade deadline, them kind of losing out on Rantanen. But I think they should have added a better goalie. Make a trade and try and get give away some assets to bring in a goalie. Like we've seen, you can have some subpar defense if you have a really good goalie. With Carolina right now, you don't really have any room for error um, up top between your forwards and D-men to be able to afford to have a mid to subpar goalie. Like it just can't happen. You're going to get destroyed by Washington with how efficient their offense has been. You're going to get destroyed by the physicality of Florida. Like you're not going to make it very far. And given, hey, they're uh, what, second in the Metro right now. Yeah, they're
They're second
second
in
in
the
the
Metro.
Metro, second overall in the East. But you could get ran out of your own building in a series that lasts 5 games. Like I just don't think with what the playoffs are about and how we've talked consistently all year long about how physicality wins championships, I don't think they're physical enough, nor do they have the goaltending to be able to compete for a Stanley Cup. I don't think they'll make it past the second round this year.
So with Carolina, I mean, I think they always surprise the team, but they're also always really good in the regular season. I think Anderson does have that potential to heat up, kind of like how Aiden Hill did. He kind of heated up out of nowhere. But like I watched Anderson play before he was even in the NHL, and I've seen him play lights out before. Like it was a surprise to me when I think it was Anaheim that traded him. It might have been it was Anaheim that traded him. But I just he's been so plagued with injuries. His career's been plagued with injuries, and I don't think he's ever had the opportunity to get hot. And I just, it's kind of sad how his career's gone. But, anyways, talking about the Miko. Oh, actually, one more thing. Talking about Carolina's goaltending. What do you think of, since Florida was going to trade Spencer Knight anyway, what do you think if Carolina gave up a little bit to acquire Spencer Knight? I don't think the asking price was very high for him. For
I don't think so either. And the fact that I think Chicago got him, now I think Chicago, the ceiling for Chicago next year is high. Yes, you just got rid of Seth Jones, but you brought in a good goaltender. You've got Bedard. You can go out and add some more assets in the offseason. But if I was Carolina, I would have been calling up Florida, seeing, hey, how low can we get Spencer Knight for? He's very, I don't want to say proven because I wouldn't say he's proven yet, but he was a very good backup. Like the only reason he wasn't a starter was because you had Bobrovsky in front of him. I mean, Bobrovsky, I think, is going to be a Hall of Famer, like easily. And so for him to have to sit behind Bobrovsky and then now go to Chicago, where they have a younger core there, um, that's going to look to I make a move similar to what I think you've seen Anaheim do this year, where they're in contention, but they're not quite there yet. They're just missing one to two key pieces, and then they're right there knocking on the doorstep with Minnesota, Vegas, Winnipeg, and Dallas. And not quite Winnipeg, but somewhat with Dallas and some of those top tier teams in the West. But I mean, you probably could have given up Kochetkov and maybe two mid tier prospects for Knight. I think Florida would have taken that easily.
so Spencer Knight was in the Seth Jones trade. Chicago retained $2.5 million on Seth Jones' contract, gave him a 2026 fourth rounder, and Chicago got Spencer Knight and a conditional 2026 first round pick. So I don't think the asking price was really that high. I mean, that's not a
And
crazy
again,
asking
I
price
like
for a goalie that was drafted in the top 15.
again. I mean, that allows. I think Chicago wins that trade.
Drieger got traded. Vanacek got traded. Who are all solid goaltenders that
They're
have heated up before. I mean, even just to give you a little bit of depth to see if one of them can get hot if you lose a game in the playoffs. Even if you have three or four. That's what Vegas ran five goalies the year they won the cup. Not in the playoffs, but they didn't start out with Aiden Hill in the playoffs. Aiden Hill wasn't the starter. I don't remember who was. Kakinen got traded. You had goalies that were available, and yet you chose not to make a move on them. I mean, Mrazek got traded. He's been solid for Detroit since he returned. Trying to see if there's any other goalies that were traded. I don't see any more. But you could have made a move. And even if you don't get it this year, Spencer Knight's still developing. I think he's like 21, 22. He's still developing. He's still got time to develop. I think it would have set him up. And Chicago, back to Chicago. Chicago's they need a little bit more. They need to do well this draft. And I think they'll be a top 5 pick easily. If they need a little bit more scoring, but I don't think Chicago's super far away. I think they're maybe 2 or 3 years away.
I don't either. And
I
I
don't think
think
Anaheim's
next
super
year
far
they're
either.
more.
I think if Anaheim has a big deadline next year or a big free agency, I think Anaheim's easily in the playoffs next year.
Okay, moving on because we kind of went
Went
off
off
on a
topic,
tangent there.
but
But
interesting
uh,
discussions.
yes, Miko Rantanen. I'm gonna say he's a winner because he got his bag. My goodness, 8 years, 96 million total, 12 million average annual value, which I don't want to say it's steep, but I I'm trying to think of a word to describe it. That's a lot of money, and
That's an
that's a
overpay for
lot of a
Dallas.
cap,
I think Dallas
and
lost this
especially
trade.
with
I think Dallas 110% lost this trade.
yeah, and I think Carolina overall ended up losing too. I think Colorado's the only team that won that trade. The whole
Colorado
series
won
of
the
events
entire
there.
deadline. Colorado did really well at the deadline. Like Colorado, they're not top of the standings right now. Colorado's if Goya or whoever the goalie is now, they keep switching goalies like they're going out of style. But if Colorado and their goaltender gets hot, Colorado's scary. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dallas knocked out in the first round. I wouldn't, because Dallas and Colorado are probably going to play each other, and a really good hockey
That
team's going to
I,
go home in the first round.
I think that series is going to 5 or 6 though. I don't think either one of those teams is going down without a fight.
I think it's going to 7 pretty
But
easily.
back to Rantanen, he's got 5 points in 8 games with Dallas so far. I believe they're playing right now. Don't know the status of that.
I got it up right now.
But he's got 29 goals and 46 assists so far this season, and ESPN has him projected to finish with 34 goals and 54 assists. So I think it's good that Dallas added him for playoff depth, more scoring, higher power offense. But I think that, as you commented, steep price, especially for that long, given you've. I don't like deals that last 8 years, given the Caps just signed Chikrin to, I think, an 8-year deal.
8 year, not million.
It actually might have been,
Not million
yeah,
AAV.
something like that.
Yeah, Chikrin just got his bag.
Um, so again, I don't like those longer deals. We saw that what happened with Holtby after he won the cup. We signed him to a long deal, and he was with us for another season or two. So and it makes him really hard to move when things go wrong. So I'm not in favor of massive deals like that. But hey, kudos to him. He got his bag. He's set for life. Um, Now, kind of, that's who I really had for the winners. I had Florida and Rantanen. Um, and I think as to why I didn't put Colorado on there, I think the Natchez trade was where they really won because he has just exploded for them. I mean, he's been on a tear, and given that was really good. But I overall thought just throughout the whole draft that there were the losers are going to matter more than the winners of the deadline. And so, starting with that, what in the world are the Boston Bruins doing?
I don't think
Like,
they won
what
any
is
of these
going?
trades either. Do you want me to read them off? Because I got
No,
them up right
I
now.
mean, go right ahead.
So they traded Charlie Coyle to the Avs. Another great acquisition for Colorado. They probably have the best four centers in the NHL. Charlie Coyle and a 2026 fifth round pick for Casey Middlestat, Will Zellers, which is a USHL player, and a 2025 second rounder. I mean, they may have came out a little ahead on that trade, but not by much. Um, they they ended up trading a 2026 fourth rounder for Henry Jokiharju, and um traded Brandon
So
Carlo
they
for
trade
15% retained for Fraser Minton, a 2026 first round pick, top five protected, and a 2025 fourth rounder. I,
and then you had the
the
Marchand
Marchand
trade.
trade for bag of Doritos. Your captain, by the
And
way.
so
Your captain. And have you
I
seen the
think they
videos? Have you seen the video? And if you haven't seen the video, please watch it. The video of who's their GM? I cannot remember his name. Oh, anyway, whoever Boston's GM is, he announces the trade to a completely silent front office. Like they were all shocked. And then the game after, the day after the trade deadline, where Boston players are like tearing up in every interview. They're busting their asses for that team, and they all basically break down during that game, like because all of their friends are gone. I just What one? Why would you trade Martian? Let him retire as your team as a captain. This isn't the NBA. Like we we know that you and I aren't big fans of the NBA. This isn't the NBA. The NHL has loyalty to its teams. Why are we trading players that don't want out? Martian didn't even know he was going to get traded, and yet we're trading our captain. Like this whole thing, and it's starting to become a lot more common in recent years. Trading your captain you shouldn't be doing that. It shouldn't happen ever, unless your captain wants out. Like Stamkos kind of wanted out. He wanted too much money, and actually Tampa dodged a bullet with that one. But Stamkos wanted too much money, so Tampa wasn't willing to pay it. Like I get that, but trading away your captain that didn't want out is insane to me. And Martian's taken pay cuts before. Like Martian would have taken a pay cut to help the team rebuild. He knows he's getting older. Granted, how Martian plays on the ice, he's not a douchebag off the ice. Like he knows the game, he knows the business. But
yeah, he's a great locker room
he's a
guy.
great locker room guy. He's not a asshole off the ice. Why are we like he understands the business? Why I just don't understand that. The Carla move I can understand. You got a decent deal for that. You got a good first round pick, but like I don't get it. And your team's not in a position to rebuild. You've gotten riddled with injuries this year. Your team's not in a position to rebuild. You still have bad contracts on that roster. And you didn't really help yourself. Because you know what's going to happen is Pastrnak's going to eventually run out, one out. Pastrnak, I think, is almost 30. Like, Pastrnak's probably. I don't
I
think
wouldn't.
Pastrnak's won a cup. He might have won one
I don't think he's.
towards the end of.
I don't think he's. I don't think he's in Boston at the end of next year's deadline. But I think Boston's going to be really bad next year.
Maybe. Do you think Swayman stays? They traded Allmark, and that didn't work out well for him. Allmark's actually playing really
I don't
well.
know. I don't know why they got rid of the duo. You had a great
They couldn't afford him.
goaltending tandem.
Couldn't afford him.
I think that's when you take a book out of the Dodgers playbook, or take a page out of the Dodgers playbook, just defer some of the money, or use most of it as like a signing bonus or something. Restructure the contract to be able to afford it. Like you can always work around it in some sort of way if you actually try and think it out. That's my thing. You can always make it work if the guys are willing to move and be like, hey, we might not get you as much as you want now, but give us the end of this contract. We'll re-sign you. Like make it a 2-3 year deal where it's just below maybe a couple 100,000 below what they're asking for. Free up some room for some other players, and then further down the line, you have a little bit more breathing room, and you know for sure who's who. Then you give them the bag. But
My main argument is I get why they got rid of one of them. They made the wrong decision this year. Swayman has not been good this year. Allmark's actually been relatively good. But and Swayman was better when they were both in Boston. Maybe Swayman just struggles being a full-time starter. I don't know. But biggest thing for me is that never works out when you're in the playoffs. It really doesn't. Because you can't play both goalies when you're in the playoffs. It just doesn't work out. Because if you flip them every other night, one guy's going to lose being high. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing for me is I get why they do it because it doesn't serve you well in the playoffs. They took a chance. It kind of backfired, but it's just blowing it all. I think it was a bad move to blow it all up because their car was experienced, but I don't think it was super old. But you know, it'll be interesting to see where Boston goes for there. I'm surprised their GM hasn't been fired yet because they really sold and yeah, I just
so now, kind of moving on to Carolina, we touched on this briefly already, but I think the big thing was you kind of got screwed over with the whole Rantanen situation. You lost Natchez, who was a great forward, and now I think you're lacking offensive depth. You're lacking offensive firepower, and I think there might be a bigger situation with players not wanting, like, bigger stars not wanting to sign in Carolina. I mean, we saw this with Gensel. He moved on to Tampa. Natchez moved on. Or I guess Natchez didn't move on. Rantanen didn't want to sign him, given he only wanted to sign in 4 places. But I think we've seen a couple of instances of some bigger stars have the option to go to Carolina and not want to, even though they're pretty much a perennial playoff lock at this point from what we've seen.
they're a
Um,
perennial conference
and
final lock. I think they've been in the conference
I
final the
don't think they
last three
make it this
years.
year. Uh,
I think so.
Trying to think who was in it with Florida. I don't think it was Florida Carolina last
I
year.
think it was. Either that or Florida beat them in the second round. But anyway,
It was New York and Florida.
oh, New York. I think New York beat Carolina.
New York beat Carolina.
They made it the 2 years before that. My bad. Anyway, it's and Rantanen kind of there have been people kind of spelling this out is if you look at the 4 teams Rantanen wanted to sign with, all 4 of those teams have in common that they play a high-powered offensive system like Colorado. Colorado is one of his teams, the teams he wanted to sign with. He was he wants to play in high-powered offenses, and that's not how Carolina plays. I think it's a Rod Brindamore problem. Do you think Rod Brind'Amour's seat gets a little hot?
Um, who would they play in the first round of the playoffs?
Let me
I think if
check.
they get bumped in the first round, Brendan Moore's seat gets warm. They haven't been to the finals. They I don't think they've been to the finals in recent
I don't think
memory.
they've been to the finals
Or at
since
least
they
haven't
won
been.
it.
Yeah.
They would play
So
New
I think Brendan
Jersey in
Moore's
the
seat.
first round, which I think they'll win that.
I think so. I just don't
New
think New
Jersey,
Jersey
because
has the
New Jersey
firepower to
has a
step up,
good lead,
especially with the because they're actually Metro too.
but
So
I don't
Carol,
think they make it past Washington unless the goalie gets really hot.
yeah, they would play New Jersey. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and I don't think New York closes the gap. Granted, the Islanders
Which New York teams are both
both
tied at 74?
they're both tied. New York, the Rangers have an extra game played, but the Devils only have 9 games left. Um, it's 9 points. Take it down to 5.
Here,
They're two and a
we'll
half
get to,
games back. So the
we'll, we'll,
Islanders are two and a half
we'll
games
get
back.
we'll get to this in a second because we have like a whole section on who's
Okay.
taking the East in the wild cards. Um, Edmonton, I thought was a big loser at the deadline. Didn't upgrade the goaltending at all, which has been pretty subpar. And then they added Wallman on defense, which I don't think that's big enough to fix the problems they've had on the blue line this year. Their defense has been
I
atrocious,
agree with
and
that.
I think you're going to run into an issue of your offense isn't going to be able to put up 5, 6 goals every night in the playoffs. You're going to need to have a defense to be able to limit the other team from scoring and win in a low scoring game. I don't they didn't do enough. They didn't add enough beef on the defense. And so because of that, I don't think that I think Edmonton is probably Canada's best shot at bringing the Stanley Cup back to Canada for the first time in what 34, 35 years now. Edmonton's not going to get it done this year.
Edmonton's going to lose to LA in the first round. If it shapes up like that, Edmonton will lose to LA in the first round. I think it'll be five
I'd
games.
see Edmonton losing in
Yeah,
five. Yeah,
it'll be in 5 games, maybe 4. If LA gets
I
hot in the
they
first 2 games at home, if it stays
and
as it is,
especially
and LA is at home in that series, LA will get hot the first 2 games, and Edmonton might win Game 4.
especially with how Kemper has been playing since he got traded from Washington. Dude's been on a tear. He's been so good. I mean, it's rare you see a trade like that work out for both players with how good Pierre Luc Dubois has played for Washington and how well Kemper has played in LA. But I mean, they both fit into their respective systems so well. And I mean, again, Edmonton's not going to be able to go and put up 4 or 5 goals a game against Kemper with the way he's playing right now. Who knows how he's going to turn or what he's going to turn into for the playoffs?
I mean, we've seen him
And
do it
so,
before with Colorado. We've seen him do it
yeah.
before.
And so
There is not
I
a
think it's,
shot. I will put my entire bank account that as of right now, Edmonton would not be LA in the playoff series. Not even it would. They wouldn't even make it to 6. I'm not putting money on that part, but
I,
they're not beating LA.
I'm not betting. I'm not betting against you.
Like there's there's no chance that Edmonton beats LA. And Edmonton's had LA's numbers in previous years, but this team is able to outscore teams. And you can't do that in the playoffs. There's going to be a series where you have to play defense. You have to play physical hockey. They don't have either of those. And the fact that they've gotten 41 wins in 70 games is amazing to me. I mean, they've stayed relatively healthy. Do I think Wallman was a good ad? Absolutely. I think Wallman's a solid blue liner. I think
But
Wallman's
I
good at
just
playing both
it,
sides of the ice. He's a decent skater. I think it was a great ad, but that's one player. You have 6 defensemen. It's just not enough.
mhm.
Darnell Nurse is a liability. Ekholm's okay. Egelholm's okay. Bouchard's a liability on defense. He can score and he can pass, but he's a liability on defense. It's and I don't even know who the rest of the defenders are. So it's not looking good for Edmonton, and I don't think Edmonton's gonna win a playoff like and win a cup anytime soon. That Florida was their closest chance.
So, do you think Connor McDavid is going to have a similar situation to Ovechkin, where goes his entire career, struggles to make the Stanley Cup final, finally gets there towards the end of his career, and then gets one um, at the end? Or do you think he'll get traded at some point and leave Edmonton in search to be able to find a cup?
I don't know if he stays after this contract. I think he's got like 4 years left on his deal. I don't think he stays.
Who do you think is going to have enough room to pay him?
Probably I I don't know how it's gonna be in 4 years, but you hear the phrase like you tank for certain players. That's what teams are gonna do. These selling teams aren't gonna be taking for the draft at the deadline. They're going to be selling all of their assets, all of their big cap room to try to get McDavid. Because there will be rumors that come out about it. 100%. Now, if I could see him staying, I think McDavid's a good leader. He doesn't You can't really tell because Connor McDavid doesn't have much of a personality. I hate to say it. I think it's one of the biggest problems with hockey players is they don't have like a lot of personality, but every time they show personality, NHL fans don't like it, so you're kind of in a tough spot there. But I just I think Edmonton I think Edmonton might make the playoffs next season, but I think they're going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle to keep Draisaitl. Does he want to keep playing there? Especially, I hate to I don't want to rail on our on Canadians or anything like that. I like Canada's cool and all, but you have to pay more taxes in Canada. Like there have already been things that have come out over like the past 5 years saying that guys don't want to go play in Canada because more of their money gets taken. Same reason guys don't want to go play in California. That's why two of the three teams in California have been bad for the last like almost 10 years. So it's just how many are they going to really want to stay in Canada? I just I don't know. I think McDavid is gonna and Draisaitl are gonna want to go to a team that a good organization that wants to that knows how to win cups, like Colorado, for Vegas, even
Hear, hear me out on this. And this is a little bit of a wild thought. McDavid to Chicago.
I think Chicago will be already like contenders by that time. I think Chicago will be too far to be able to go get McDavid, and it wouldn't be worth selling off some of your young players.
I think they have some room to be able to get some of the older slacking guys off the books. And
Here's the thing with that though is you already traded your worst contract by far in Seth Jones. You traded a lot of your older guys at the deadline. Do you do Chicago fans really want to wait that long to take that swing? I don't see it.
but it would sure as hell be entertaining to watch Bedard and McDavid on the same line.
But I mean, if you think about it, those guys are both going to be getting 16 million a year each by the time these next contracts. By the time the with the salary cap raise, those guys will probably be getting paid 16 million each. That's almost like 33% of your cap. And everyone railed on the Leafs for four guys taking up half their cap last year, and the year before that. I just and the Leafs, what they made out of the first round last year, I think it was.
For the first time in like a decade.
So I just don't. I don't know if they're going to be able to. If I'm a Chicago fan, I don't know if I want to wait that long, especially if they can do well in this draft. Because if you can get a guy in this draft that's ready to plug and play, I think they'll already be like second round contenders in the next draft, or by the time McDavid's contract ends. Because what McDavid got drafted in 2015, that's 3 years plus 2018, 8 years. It's 2026. No, that's not right.
Could be 20 because it was the 20. He got drafted in 15, so it was the 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19 season. And then for the 8-year contract, he had 19, 20, 20, 21, 21,
It does
22,
expire at the end
23,
of next
24.
season.
Huh. Interesting.
There's going to be some
So the
chirps. I'm
last,
telling you, this offseason, if he doesn't sign like July 1st, there's going to be some things that come out. Because with a guy like that, you either sign him on July 1st or you
let him go.
let him go. If you don't hear it,
Yeah,
it's going to spice up this offseason, I'm telling you.
the last I had him as a pair because they both had very similar moves at the deadline, and we talked about it before we got on. But Detroit, Columbus, if you want to talk about them, given they're both in your neck of the woods up there.
So, let's start with Columbus.
Midwest.
I like Columbus. I'm an Ohio State fan. I like Ohio teams. Detroit was just the first hockey team I started watching. Like Columbus. It had the inspiring story about Johnny Gaudreau. You played at Ohio Stadium. Ended up beating the Wings in Ohio Stadium. And you just had everything going for you after the Four Nations. And you just fell off the face of the earth after you didn't make any moves at the deadline. And it sucks to see. I want to see Columbus in the playoffs. They had a playoff spot. They lost it. They've completely fallen apart. They've won like 3 of their last like 13 games. Completely fallen apart. I want to see Columbus in the playoffs.
They're
They would have been.
they're 2-7-1 in their last 10.
It's just. And Detroit did the same thing. They were hot. They lost to Columbus. And then just completely fell apart. I mean, as a Wings fan, I'm used to the annual March collapse. But Steven, we've been hearing the Iser plan for the last 6, 7 years. Haven't made the playoffs in the last 9 years. You sign bad contracts on old defensemen at the end of their careers. Signed Justin Hull to like 3.3 for 3 years. You signed JT Compher for like 5 years, 5.1 million. Hasn't scored I don't think he's scored a goal or he scored a goal last night, but he scored like 3 goals this season. Maybe it's just all these guys you gave decent contracts to and bigger contracts to, these older guys aren't performing. You didn't make any moves at the deadline. And your excuse is, I don't want to rush it. Well, brother, it's been 10 years. You made the playoffs. Detroit made the playoffs for 25 straight seasons. Steve Yzerman was a part of that. It's this level of incompetency isn't acceptable in Detroit. It's just not. And the fact that Yzerman's seat needs to be toasty. Because they're not making the playoffs this year unless, like, the playoff teams lose out and they win the rest of their games. They're not making the playoffs. So, where do you go from here? Because you can't keep relying on the draft. Yes, I get it. You've gotten screwed over with lotteries. You should have had a top 3 pick and you didn't get one. You've never gotten a top 3 pick since this rebuild started. But they're legitimately just bad. Defense is atrocious. You don't have a starting goaltender. You don't have depth scoring. You don't have a superstar. You don't have anything you need to go win a Stanley Cup. And everyone was hot about Todd McClellan. And, I mean, just this team's completely collapsed. It's not acceptable in Detroit. And if Detroit does not make the playoffs, next year, Steve Eiserman needs to be fired because it's not working. We've got a decent prospect pool, but the product on the ice is bad. That's my spiel.
So Detroit is only 3 points out of. And I don't know where the tie break is, but 3 points back from the second wild card spot.
But they've won
So I
like
mean,
three
you're
of their
two
last
games
10.
out. And if you're
They're
gonna get
3
hot,
7
now's the
and
time
0
to
in their
do it.
last 10. And it's not even losing the games, it's how you're losing the games. You lost to Colorado 5-2. You lost to Vegas 6-3. Lost to Washington 4-1. It's just you're losing games you can't lose.
Yeah, there's a lot of red on here for your last 20 or so games.
So after they played Columbus, because that's really when they started falling apart. So the 2 games after they played Columbus, lost to Columbus, lost to Columbus, 5-2 and 5-3. Lost to Carolina, lost to Utah, lost to Washington, lost to Ottawa, beat Buffalo, lost to Carolina, beat Vegas, lost to Washington, lost to Vegas, beat Utah, and lost to Colorado. And then tomorrow they play the Senators. They're probably going to lose that game. They might beat the Bruins on Saturday. And then you play the Blues, the Hurricanes, the Panthers, the Canadiens, the Panthers, the Lightning, the Stars, the Devils, and the Maple Leafs. You're not winning more than 5 of those games. They have 11 games left. They're not winning more than 5 of them. You better hope you lose all 6 of those games in overtime.
So who do you, and with how tight the race in the East is, because I mean, you've got 8 teams that are either already like ahead and like in a spot or within 3 games of a spot. Who do you think makes it in? Because when you look at it, I see 2 teams in the East that I'm going to say are eliminated. They're done, and that's Philly and Buffalo. But other than that, I think everyone else still has a path to the playoffs. I, there's a way Pittsburgh makes it.
I just don't. I don't see
Given
it with them being 3 games. They've played 3 more games than Ottawa and Montreal. It's almost like they're. I don't think Pittsburgh or Boston has a path in. I think it's really down to Detroit, Columbus, New York, Ottawa, Montreal. Because I don't think New Jersey's going to fall out.
I don't think I think Ottawa's in there too with how they've been playing recently. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and they've played well recently.
No, Ottawa's
And
hot.
we talk about
Ottawa's hot right
yeah,
now.
you talk about getting hot at the right time. They're coming into stride at the right time to be able to make a late push. Um, right now, they would be slated to
Toronto.
play Toronto.
You
I
could see an
like that.
upset. I think you could see an upset.
I like that. Especially Toronto still has to. I don't think last year is getting the job done for getting rid of the curse. I think if you're Toronto, you got to go and silence Ottawa in 4, and that isn't happening. I think there's a more likelihood, the chance is more likely that Ottawa sweeps Toronto than Toronto sweeps Ottawa.
That might be a little bit of a stretch, but I think it's more likely that Ottawa beats them in 6 than Toronto sweeps them. Or 5, but sweeping them, especially when Toronto's got the first 2 games at home.
Ottawa swept Toronto this year, outscoring them 9-3.
Well, if you look at Ottawa, they got 3 games left in the month. They play the Wings, the Jackets, the Pens, Sabres, Lightning, Panthers, Blue Jackets, Canadians, Flyers, Blackhawks, Canes. They have an easy schedule. That they have a relatively easy schedule. They play like maybe 4 playoff teams. Play
So I think it'll be very interesting. Very similar to last year, we got to cover it. Washington. I know we were on Facetime when Philly decided to pull their goalie with 3 minutes left, and Washington sealed the deal to eliminate Detroit. That was
I'm kind of
satisfying.
happy it's not going to come down to that this year because I don't think Detroit's got the hardest schedule in the NHL left. They're not making the playoffs. I've already accepted that. So, um,
I could see a situation again this year where it possibly goes to a tie break and we see like 3 or 4 teams tied for that last spot, and it comes down to the like overtime or regulation wins or whatever it came down to, or what would have been last year, where I think it was last year where um
and if you look at the regulation wins, the 3 teams that are close right now is Montreal at 75, New York and New York at 74. And even if you look at Columbus is at 73, Detroit's at 72 points. Regulation wins, New York, the Rangers have a big lead in regulation wins.
6.
They have seven
So,
seven on Montreal, 6 on New York, the Islanders, 6 on Detroit, and 8 on Columbus.
but again, you talk
But
about getting hot at the right
they've
time.
also played 2 more games than Montreal has. It's gonna get very interesting. Got 12 games left. It's gonna get very interesting. And then we got playoffs that start, I think it was April 10th. I think is when they start. Maybe a little bit later.
Weekend weekend after it's
17th.
the 19th. It's the weekend. It's the day before Easter. Will be the first playoff games. So I will be in DC. We will see if I can squeeze a first round Caps ticket into the budget, but I will be in DC over Easter, so it'll be very fun to see how that works out.
I might cop
If I'm able to get
LA
in,
Edmonton tickets for playoffs. We'll see.
so
Hoping LA makes
we,
it to
we may
like
get you guys.
the second round so I can go see that.
Hey, Washington LA Cup. I might have to fly out.
That would be
Okay,
insane.
that would be great. That would be awesome to watch. Um, don't know how that would shake out. Um, just getting there. I mean that would be a crazy
Talk about getting
story
talking
playoff wise, but
talking about getting hot at the right time. We've seen the Blues do it.
okay, yeah, 2019. To wrap things up, little fun game, snake draft of um, 3 teams each for us with best
Shoot.
playoff environments for the teams that are currently slated for the playoffs. So while things could change, it's who's currently in. Um, so do you want to start and then I go twice, or do
No,
you
you
want to
got that.
go
I want to see who you go with. I want to see if you're a
first?
homer or not.
I'm going to go first overall, the whiteout in Winnipeg.
Okay. I can respect that.
Absolutely electric.
Oh,
Absolutely electric. That is the one environment I don't want Washington to have to go play in. I saw what they did in Vegas. Completely fine with that. I've seen what they can do in Toronto. I think it was 2015, 2016 when we beat the Leafs in the first or second round. I think it was the first round. Like I've seen what they can do in Toronto. That was another team I had on the list. But so Winnipeg would be the environment that I'd be most scared to have the Caps go and
are
play.
we basing this off of how we think it's going to be this year? Or are
Well,
we
I mean,
talking from like previous history? Because we know Winnipeg's going to do the whiteout.
previous experiences for teams that are in the playoffs this year,
Okay.
or as of right now.
Okay. Because I was going to do Ottawa because I think that place is going to be absolutely rocking for their first playoff games in the
They
playoffs.
are currently in,
But I don't know how.
so you could choose them.
It's been a long time since Ottawa's been in the playoffs. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with Colorado at my first. Um, Ball Arena is just absolutely electric. The Colorado gets down with it. It's a very insane atmosphere. I think it's one of the hardest to play in, other than Winnipeg. I think a lot of teams struggle, and then give me Tampa at the two. Two teams that have had a lot of
Interesting.
cup success.
I didn't see you taking that, and I'm kind of glad you did. You ready for this?
Go for it.
Give me Carolina.
I almost went
Give me the
Carolina.
Caniacs.
PN, P,
They have
PNC Bank Arena
they, I,
does
they,
get loud. I've been to
they go
Carolina.
crazy.
I've been in Carolina a couple times, not for playoff games, but I've been in there for a couple times. It
They go
They go
nuts.
nuts. It Raleigh Raleigh is a good hockey city. They love their team down there in Raleigh. It's a very good environment, I will say.
Lastly, for my number three, I think you might find this surprising that I'm not taking Washington here. Give me the Florida Panthers.
Okay.
Won it last year.
Okay.
Their home games in the playoffs last year were electric, and I mean, you wouldn't see that coming from Florida with how it's like not a typical hockey environment. Um, but hey, they got down. They get. I actually said they got up. They were buzzing the entire playoffs. So that was who I had, and I had Vegas as an honorable mention. I don't know if you're about to take them or not, but
I want to, but they would also be my second honorable mention. Give me Minnesota. Give me Minnesota. The hockey state, the hockey capital of the world. Give me Minnesota. As an honorable mention, I also have Dallas.
that was a good one. I will say I personally think that I won that just because I got
You have the whiteout.
Carolina and the whiteout, which is both crazy. But for first time we do that, there'll be many more with many different topics. But I'd say it was a success. We'll see how those selected
You want to do a quick
arenas
one for
play out. But
college football atmospheres?
I'm not leaving the SEC.
That's fine. I can still win
Yeah,
this.
we can go
I can still win
off
this.
the top of the dome.
All right, you got first.
No, I want to see you take first.
Who I take first?
This is going to start an argument. I already know it.
I'm in the SEC. I just
Oh, so are you admitting the SEC is better environments than the Big Ten?
on a school by school basis, yes. Do I think some of the Big Ten schools have better environments? Yes.
I think the only two
Ohio State and the
that can compete,
Wolverines.
and possibly three.
Actually,
I was going to say
Actually,
Ohio State and
five.
Penn State.
There's like 4 or 5 that can compete with the SEC.
I don't think Michigan's going to compete.
Absolutely, the Big House would
Um,
compete with the SEC.
Oregon maybe.
Oregon,
Actually,
Ohio
I just
State,
don't know.
the Big House. Nebraska. Nebraska sold out every game in like the past 20 something years. That's why I say Nebraska. And who's the last one I was going to go with? Oh, Penn State. 5 of them
That's
that
fair.
can compete.
Okay, so who are you taking in the
Oh,
whiteout?
Give me Brian Denny.
We're gonna one up you here. Good pick. I will admit, good pick.
Oh no, I
Very
know who I
fair
should have
weather
taken
day.
now. Fuck. I knew I should have taken
Who do you think you should have taken?
Death Valley, Baton Rouge.
I was gonna take them as my number two. I'm gonna take Kyle Field
I almost took
as my
Kyle
number
Field
one.
too.
Because when they played Power for that first walkout, oh my god, talk about a power plant. I mean, you probably could have like found a way to generate the electricity from that building. You would have been able to power College Station for the year. I mean, that thing was awesome. And I mean, I'm not even an A&M fan. I despise it. I think that they're dude cheerleaders, gay as shit on the planet. Like, it's so stupid. Your little giggle, shove your thumb up your ass. I don't care. It's stupid. But the entrance, top tier,
I love how they.
absolutely amazing.
On a side note, I love how they have they consistently show the male cheerleaders in college football 25 in the video game. Consistently, it's
It's
always the male cheerleaders in full clothing, like they're wearing a tracksuit or something, and they're lifting the women up.
it's
It
in like
doesn't matter if it's snowing. The women are
overalls.
always in the
It,
skirts, and the dudes always have the freaking tracksuit on. It's so funny.
it's they have their little white like faux summer white like Naval Academy uniforms that you'll see like the mids wearing, and then they have like their little like game day like little when they're doing all
Yeah.
that stuff and their little like yippee thing that they wear their like little like denim like little jumpsuit overall things. Again, I think that part's stupid. I don't like that. Given that's their tradition, they do it. But when they play Power, I know it's a Kanye song. I don't care what y'all's thoughts on Kanye are. It's a good song. It's great for getting the crowd going.
Hey, hold on. I didn't think entrances would be included in this. Because, like, entrances are a little bit
That's part
different.
of
Because
this.
Virginia Tech would be on my radar if we'd be doing entrances. Virginia Tech, I'm taking at one. If we're doing just entrances, I'm taking Virginia Tech at one.
They have a good entrance. I still wouldn't put it over A&M.
Over their entrance, I'll take entertainment
Yeah,
any day.
the 60,000 and when I talk you look at
We're
yeah it's
not talking
cool
about the
but
atmosphere.
that's
We're
still
talking
that
straight
was that was
entrance right now.
100 but the atmosphere plays into the entrance. The atmosphere at Virginia Tech is why the entrance is good. Like you can't separate the two are intertwined. Like
I
any
guess.
place that you would argue any place that you could argue that has a good entrance has a good atmosphere as well. Virginia Tech has an okay atmosphere. That's why I think they have an okay to good entrance. I personally don't like entertainment. I also despise Virginia Tech. South Carolina's going to wipe the floor with them on the first week of the college football season
You
next year,
know, you're gonna say that, right? And then
and it's
they're
going
gonna
to.
absolutely heartbreak you week one.
Oh no! See, you know what's going to happen is I'm going to take the spread.
You're gonna
I
take
don't I
South
don't think
Carolina
they're
on
going
the
to end up
spread, and
winning.
it's gonna be like it was against ODU this year when South Carolina played ODU,
Yeah,
and it's gonna
but
be
I
way
think
too
there's going to be a little,
close.
there's going to be a little more separation just because they know like it's not Lenore's first start. There's gonna be a little bit more of a system established. Um, but yeah, okay. For my number two, I'm gonna go with Death Valley.
Okay.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's how we talk about Carolina perennially having like a good team and making it far in the playoffs. They perennially have a very hostile environment. When you talk about them playing neck, that's just funny. I know Pat McAfee has gotten in trouble for that. It's still funny. Great song, great atmosphere. But I mean, it's also, and this is, I think, what makes college football so much better than the NFL,
Oh,
at least
absolutely.
from a fan standpoint. Is you get these things where you get
All
these traditions where you see. something like Power, something like Enter Sandman, something like Neck for LSU. It's 100,000 drunk college kids and adults.
I'm
Like
I'm
you
willing to
can't
tell
beat
you
that.
right now that every single college sport, with the exception of hockey, the exception of men's hockey, is better than the pro sport. I'll tell
I
you
would
that
agree
right
with
now.
you. I'm not going to argue against that.
I
Even
mean,
even
maybe,
baseball.
maybe. I think actually MLB. I think MLB is better than college baseball. I think that MLB playoff atmosphere is different, but college
I
baseball
think
competes
MLB
with it.
playoffs,
But I also think
MLB playoffs, I think are marginally better than Omaha.
no. I think
But
it's a lot better. All I have to show you is Freddie Freeman's grand slam. All I have to say. You watch the atmosphere
or
from that.
The Bryson Stott Grand Slam from Philly, I think was better
But
when
even
Philly
then, like
destroyed
recent
Miami.
memory, we'll talk about like recent memory. Like that's all I have to show you. That's
That
probably
happened
the
like
loudest a
3 years
baseball
ago.
stadium has ever been.
I was sitting right there when Bryson Stott broke my heart. Miami finally made it to the playoffs. I was so happy. And they started singing that stupid, like, living in this good old world song. I don't know. But the entire stadium was singing that. First pitch, dude ripped it like 400 something straight away center. That thing was nuked. Actually, I think it was more right field. But still,
I'll take the Freddie Freeman grand slam in extra innings on a bum leg.
I'm not I'm not pissing off the Philly fan bases. They're
I
already
wouldn't
mean as
even
they
piss
are.
off the Dodgers fan base. Hell, I live with them.
I think it's more fair weather fans than for the team like the Dodgers. Same thing like the Lakers. When they suck, there's no one there.
Well, the Dodgers never suck.
I'd say sometimes they're more irrelevant than they are now, but
Dodgers got better than they were last year. Anyways, for my college, um, my last two, take what Penn State's whiteout, then
okay.
Watson Stadium.
I, I,
Oregon has the
who's
best.
Watson Stadium?
Oregon.
Oh, Ott. I thought you said
No,
Watson.
no.
I was about to say who's
Oregon
Watson?
has
Good.
Oregon has the best environment in the Big Ten. I think Oregon.
I,
I talked to a lot of Oregon fans when I was at the Rose Bowl. Oregon has some of the best fans and probably top five fans in college football, and a lot of them aren't casuals. Like they're not like. And I know there's this big debate going on around about if you didn't go to that school, you can't be a fan of them. I think that's a stupid argument, but that's a conversation for another day.
I think we should cover that. Not today. We've gone way over time
That's
here,
fine.
but
But I think that
I
whole
have
thing is
some very
stupid.
strong thoughts about that
I
though.
think the whole thing's stupid. I talked to probably maybe 70 Oregon fans when I was at the Rose Bowl this year, and almost every single one that I talked to went to the school. And it's just like Oregon fans have some of the most devoted fans. I was sitting in an Oregon section, like an Oregon section. You know how your Apple Watch tells you when you're like above 90 decibels?
Mhm.
Mine was going off the entire game. And even when they were down like 21 to nothing, like they were still getting loud. Granted, this isn't at their home stadium, but it kind of serves to my point. I think Autzen Stadium is one of the best environments in college football, without cherry picking the SEC.
I think you know where I'm going to get.
If you go to South Carolina,
The the one, the only Williams-Brice Stadium.
that's South Carolina,
I've
right?
also personally, yeah, I've personally experienced it like so much. I do truly believe that the home field advantage South Carolina gets, especially in some of those bigger games,
Didn't they play
it
LSU at home?
puts them over. Not this year. We played them last year.
Ole Miss at home?
Don't even get me started.
Ole Miss
We're
at
gonna be
home?
here. We played them last year. We played them last year.
What
That
about
was different. But that LSU,
did you have Ole
the
Miss that
LSU
one?
game, you can't bring up the LSU game because we were missing our quarterback for the entire second half, and not to mention that Jason Autry is fucking blind. I don't know. I mean, it's worse than the NBA referees. It's unbelievable.
uh,
We already have 1.5 million views on that because the ref can't make a right call.
uh, I love how it's
Like we had two.
almost a year later,
The,
you're still getting fired up about that.
the first pick six, I understand that was obviously a horse collar. I called it the second it happened. The second one was freaking awful. He's going to go make a play. How are you supposed to block him?
I wasn't even trying to get you fired up.
It makes no fucking sense.
I wasn't even trying to get you fired up, but it worked. Pick your
It,
last
it, it
stadium.
pisses me.
Pick your last.
It,
Oh
it
wait, you did. Never mind. No.
Yeah, it was South Carolina. It pisses me off. But I mean, the fact that, and given I already have thoughts on our kicking situation
Well, that didn't get any
because the
better
guy
this
we had
offseason
last year,
either.
Alex Herrera, was fucking awful. How do you miss the same kick twice? They gave you a warm up and you still fucking missed it. And you blew the game against Bama. You missed 3 kicks in the fourth quarter. You have one fucking job. It's to make it through the uprights. And you send it every which goddamn way other than the uprights.
What about Ole Miss? What's your excuse on that one?
Okay, that one, I'm so Ole Miss, they play ahead, right? Like that's their whole thing. Like if they get caught in a dogfight, they're gonna get fucked up. That's what you saw happen
Florida.
um, when they lost. Florida, Kentucky.
I forgot
Um,
about that.
who's their who's their third one?
I have no idea.
They,
They beat Georgia.
LSU. LSU was their third one. Another dogfight. Um, you get them in a dogfight.
SC,
You let them get
LSU
out in
actually
front.
beat some good teams this year.
They did. They also lost to some really bad
That's
teams.
true. Then they lose to
Um,
USC.
but yeah, you let Ole Miss get out in front, you're not coming back. And Shane Beamer, this is the one time I didn't agree with the play call. I usually agree with going for it on fourth down, like the fake punts and everything. It was 4th and 1 from our own fucking like 25, 30 yard line. Everyone in the stadium knows you're going for it. Put the offense on the field. There's no reason to have a punter start 20 yards back and try and get it when you just hand the ball off to one of our D linemen like they do with JJ McGee or whatever. You know who I'm talking about? Like the Ole Miss D lineman who had like 7 touchdowns this past year.
Oh yeah.
Like they get in the red zone and just hand it off. I mean, it's impossible to tackle a big guy like that. You just shove him through the pile. But that and then once you fall down behind enough on Ole Miss, it's not worth it anymore. Like you're not coming back. It's like that one I understood. Like that one I was like, yeah, no, we're once we went down. I think we went down 14-0 at some point. I was like, this game's done. So it was unfortunate. Every team has a bad game at some point in the season. That was our bad game.
Yeah.
So not much
Except
you can do about that.
a lot of teams don't lose 3 of them.
See, now you're gonna get me back to that because we should have beat Bama.
We gotta wrap this up. We gotta wrap this up. We gotta wrap this up.
I could have made the field goals.
No, we gotta wrap
You
this
know
up.
what?
We gotta wrap this up.
I will go walk out onto a football field right now and nail whatever it was a
We're doing that
33
challenge.
yarder.
When I come down to South Carolina,
Go right ahead.
when I come down to South Carolina, we're doing that. And we're gonna post
I
it.
will
We're gonna do
personally
like
find
Pack
a football
McAfee's freaking kickoff challenge contest. We're 100% doing that.
That's fine. I got to figure out what yard line the kid was from. But okay, we'll wrap this thing up.
We'll even do
Thank you for listening to us
a
argue.
35 yarder.
I can make a 35. I played soccer.
All right, let's see it. We'll see it. Give it about 9.
Yeah.
Give it 9 months, or no, not 9 months. Freaking like 6 months, 7 months. I'll be in South Carolina. We'll do it.
I'll make with the beer bottle holding the football.
Let's make that bet. All right, we'll see.
I'm down.
All right.
Okay.
We gotta wrap
Well,
this up.
thank you for listening to us argue unnecessarily for the past 30 minutes. That went on way longer than it should have. We apologize. You get me heated on football, it's going to go forever. It's part of the reason why I went with hockey and golf. Keeping it short. You put me on football, we're going to sit here all day and talk. Okay. Um, that's all I got for today. It's nice to be back. Look forward to you guys being able to meet Chambers and Grayson. That's going to be real fun. Um, looking forward to all the content we're going to be putting out, namely that fucking field goal thing that we're about to do.
How to
I
do? It's like
honestly,
7 months from now.
hey, gotta look forward to something.
Hey, maybe
All right.
we'll
Uh,
do a podcast in person. Stop with this whole video thing for a podcast or two.
that's fair. Um, I honestly don't know if you'll see me again this week or if it'll be next week or when it'll be. We'll be back. There will be episodes coming out every week. Maybe one, maybe four. Who knows? But that's all we got for this one. So we'll see you whenever.
See ya.